Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and to my fellow XRP holders, congratulations, you're in the 1%. And there's a number of ways you could look at that, but let's start here. If you're holding XRP, you're in the 1% because less than 1% of humans on the planet, by far, not even close to 1% of humans actually, own any sort of XRP. You can also think in terms of what this is going to mean in terms of price action relative to other assets or money, fiat currencies, including the United States dollar, for example. And I think the possibilities here are mind-blowing. I want to be clear that I'm not a financial advisor, though. I do not have a financial background, and you should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm happy to share my opinions, but I just want to make it clear that I'm just your everyday Joe Schmo member of the XRP community who likes talking about this stuff, engaging with the rest of the community, and making YouTube videos. So lots to talk about in this video, but before we go any further, if you would please ever so delicately tap that like button, I would definitely appreciate the support. And also, if you are a fan of Ripple and XRP, gosh darn it, I think that you might be the coolest person on this entire planet. Now, since I gave you that very generous and kind compliment, go ahead and return the favor by subscribing to the Moon Lambo channel. It don't cost nothing, son. And so what got me thinking along these lines? Well, I think about these along these lines, to be honest, kind of frequently. But this article from You Today is what prompted it in this case. And there's this article titled "Percentage of the World Using Bitcoin Equals Entire Internet Usage in 1995." So my friends, fellow XRP holders, you are so early to the party. And while there's technically no guarantee which way all this is going to go, and I always acknowledge in my videos that it is absolutely highly risky to invest in cryptocurrency, that speaks nothing to my confidence in terms of the long-term viability of XRP, and I am Mr. XRP Bull for a reason. I put my money where my mouth is, unquestionably. I have got some skin in the game. I will just say that. I'm not going to divulge how much XRP I have. I'm never going to do that. To some it's a lot, to some it's a little. I hope that tells you absolutely nothing. That's the goal. But I will say I certainly do have skin in the game here. And you can think about this like I cited in the intro here. So there's a lot of ways you can think about this. If we're right and XRP ends up truly becoming the global standard for really anything, but think about the way Ripple's positioning XRP as a bridge currency, solving a multi-trillion-dollar problem. And my gosh, hell, just compare it to Bitcoin, which at this point is the Goliath in the world of crypto. It's a tiny asset relative to gold, for example, because gold has a market cap of, well, I didn't check today. I don't know, was it 9 or 10 trillion at this point? The price has been moving. I don't know. The point is it's way up there. And you got Bitcoin at what, about 200 billion or so? And that's the biggest one in crypto. That's nothing. And then you've got XRP today. What is it today? Probably under 10 billion at this point, I'm guessing. I can't remember. I looked at it earlier today, and I just don't recall off the top of my head. But think about it like this. And this way, it's a perfect comparison here with this piece about the adoption of the internet, because I think that if you look at like a technology bell curve, I think you're gonna see that in terms of adoption, it's gonna look pretty similar. You have early on the early adopters, people that are the early, and then there's like I should have pulled up the technology bell curve for the video. I just didn't think about it before recording, but there's like 5 different categories along the curve, with the last one being the laggards at the end, who are the last to adopt a new technology here. And so, given that we are here early, and I insist we are early, with this minuscule market cap, this is why it's so exciting to be here. And it's funny to think, like, even if you tell me, how many of you knew this? I mentioned this once on my channel several months or so ago. Did you know that in order to be in the top 1% of income earners in the world, that it only takes about like $32,000 or $33,000? That's it. That's absolutely it. Now, it doesn't get you as far in a first world country, I understand that, but still, to be in the 1% of income earners in the world. And so I bet that that's a huge amount of the people that are listening to this channel here right now. And thankfully, with that position, we're all like, the poorest among us, like, have cell phones. Like, they have smartphones. Have, like, even homeless people sometimes have cars. It's amazing. It's like, in terms of where we're at as a country, we all are plugged in, and us here in the world of crypto, were fortunate enough to have figured out about this and actually moved forward in terms of actually putting money into this and seeing that, hey, there's actual utility here. And as a result of there being actual utility, there deserves to be a sustainable market price, hopefully increasing as more people find out about it. And that's why I think in terms like where this could go, talk about being a 1%er. My gosh. I could only imagine holding XRP from this day to like another 10 years or 20 years. Can you imagine what it will be worth if indeed it actually is adopted the way that we're hoping that it will and has that true staying power? And given that there's all sorts of developers building on top of the ledger at this point in time, I certainly feel rather optimistic. But people just can't see it in the short term. It's like people are like, oh my God, it's already too late. And think about that. How many people do you know that said after the market cycle ended, the huge run up late 2017, 2018, after it started going down, we missed our opportunity, this or that. Oh my gosh, that could not be more incorrect from my perspective. This party has not even gotten started, my friends. There's almost no money in this asset class. And you can think about how much money it takes to double an investment. Not much new money has to flow into here. And we see institutions coming in. We see publicly traded companies now openly purchasing Bitcoin, for example. It's astonishing here. It's absolutely astonishing. So take a look here. The percentage of the world population using Bitcoin is equivalent to the level of internet usage back in 1995. The data shows that while the entire cryptocurrency market is at a nascent phase, it is relatively high growth. Dan Held, a Bitcoin analyst in charge of growth at the cryptocurrency exchange Kraken, said, quote, "Percent of world using the internet in 1995, 0.5%. Percent of world using the internet in 2020 is 60%. Did you guys hear that? It went from 0.5% to 60% in just 25 years. And then the percent of the world using Bitcoin in 2020, 0.5%. And then he writes, what do you think the price will be when 60% of the population is using Bitcoin? And look, Bitcoin, despite my critiques of it, and I know they're all valid critiques, it may indeed have some sort of staying power. It may be the case, for all I know, that just by the nature of it being the first, maybe it is the case that it's going to have staying power, because I openly admit standards do matter. Standards. Once something is a standard, it is hard to dethrone it. I totally get that. And it's also the case, if you just look historically, it's not always that the best technology in any sort of technological category, it's not the case that the best technology necessarily wins. Very frequently it doesn't. Bitcoin was simply first to the market here. And so maybe you can patch it with Lightning Network and that'll maybe eventually work someday in the future. Today I understand that it's not. But even without that, maybe you just restore value purely because it's first. It'll have staying power. And so you can imagine, think about that when it's at 60%, but Bitcoin will not be the only cryptocurrency to have staying power, because different people want different things from different cryptocurrencies, and different cryptocurrencies have different technical attributes. And so there is no getting around that. And that's why it's also true that if XRP indeed becomes the standard mechanism for cross-border payments, that would be a very hard standard to dethrone. And so that's why I would love to see that real-world application continue to unfold. It's actually happening today, which is very exciting. But regardless, we're in such nascent stages, and I hope everybody can just appreciate this now. Like, it's easy to look back at the people that got into crypto a decade and go like, oh my gosh, you're so lucky you found out about it and you actually took action on it, this or that. People are going to be saying that about people in 2020 if you fast forward a decade. Maybe not even a decade. Maybe 5 years. Maybe less than that. We're so lucky. Meanwhile, of course, I don't know if they're going to fully appreciate just how terrifying it is for investors in this space when there's so much uncertainty. That's why to me, like, I'm always sympathetic to people that have skin in the game and get scared about the price volatility. But that's also why, in my opinion, it's worth arming yourself with knowledge so that you can maybe work to take emotion out of the equation and just think logically. You decide whether or not you want to buy, sell, or hold. I'm never going to advise that. Decide what's right for you. But regardless, I don't think it's good to let emotion drive that. And I see people endlessly FOMO into positions and panic sell, and you see that in the stock market too. This is just a different asset class. It's an extension of that. But humans are humans. Wherever they're buying and selling, humans are going to behave like humans, and this is undeniably true. Now, then the piece continues. According to the data from blockchain.com, the number of unique addresses on the Bitcoin blockchain network hover at 687,000. Compared to levels seen throughout 2018, immediately after Bitcoin crashed from its record high, Bitcoin's user activity is noticeably increasing. And I gotta admit, I don't see an end in sight for Bitcoin anytime soon. If it ever does go the way of my favorite extinct creature, avian creature, the dodo, then it may happen. I don't know when. I don't see it on the horizon, though. I don't. I must admit that. And I don't want it to fail. Like, I would prefer that it have staying power. I've just been skeptical. That's all it is. I don't have some sort of huge dog in the fight, I really don't. I'd prefer that it keep rising, because I think that as long as Bitcoin continues to rise and gains adoption, it's going to just help with the entire asset class. But so my fellow 1%ers out there, because if you're holding XRP, you're in the 1% of the world, and it's probably substantially less than that, but you're in the 1% of the world for sure that's holding XRP right now. And I would be interesting to gather data on that. Is it like 0.01% of humans that... Because think about it, it's like, what, 7.8 billion humans on the planet, roughly? Almost nobody has XRP. And you want a proof of that? Well, take a look at this. There are 2.1 million XRP accounts. Now, that doesn't mean there's 2.1 million people that have invested. Some people could have multiple addresses, whereas some people maybe never took their crypto off of exchange, and so they're using shared addresses on exchanges. So either way, it can kind of skew the number. So I don't know how many humans, but no matter what, it can't be that many. It cannot be that many humans. So 2.1 million out of 7.8 billion, and here you are listening to the Moon Lambo channel, and nobody else knows what the hell this stuff is. That is something. To me, that is like the coolest freaking thing on the planet. People don't know. And it takes almost nothing to be in the 1% of XRP holders today. Consider this. To be in the 1% of XRP holders, you only need $83,185. I get it. It's a lot of money. So what would it be? 20-something thousand dollars, low 20,000s right there, whatever the current price is. Okay, I get it. I acknowledge that. But I'm just saying, like, in the scheme of things, my gosh, people are taking out loans for cars that cost more than that. My gosh. Like, do you see what I'm saying here? In the scheme of things, that's nothing. And that the reason that there's this great opportunity, one of the biggest things, and yes, I acknowledge scarcity matters, the frenzy is a huge part of it, the frenzy around the asset class, but my gosh, just the illiquidity of the markets. The illiquidity of the markets. That's what allows for this multiplier effect. Like I've been saying a lot lately, and there's always new people coming on board, so I'll repeat it to some degree. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it's important. It's an important point to drive home. How much money would have to flow into Bitcoin for it to double in price? And considering it's a $200 billion market cap, how much would have to flow in? Then you look at XRP with under a $10 billion market cap, I believe, at this point. How much money would have to flow into XRP for it to double? Nowhere near as much. No, it's like a 20th the size of the market cap, right? It's minuscule. And so to get, and even just to get back to all-time highs, what would that be? Like a 12, 13, 14x gain if that ever happens? And so I get it. It's highly volatile. It's highly risky. And you got to make your own informed decision. But for me, I could not be excited. I sleep easy because I do not believe for a moment this asset class is going away. And so no matter how you slice and dice it, if you're listening and you're an XRP holder, you're in the 1% because simply almost nobody on the planet holds it. And if you're talking about what percentile are you in terms of XRP holders? Well, you can look on your screen right here. I'm at ledger.exposed. If you want to play with it, go type in ledger.exposed. Weetse Win put this together. He's the guy that created XRP Tipbot. He's running XRPL Labs, which is funded through Ripple Spring Initiative, by the way. And you can take a look at this. You can even just to be in the top 10%, $3,143. Think about that. So for around $700, you're in the top 10% of XRP holders. That is stunning. People are going to look at this in a decade and be like, oh my gosh, you're so lucky, this or that. Well, I'm fortunate that I ended up happening to become aware sufficiently of crypto and delving in and doing my own research. But beyond that, I wouldn't say it's so much luck. It's to be in this space, it's not as easy as outsiders would think, and as easy as they're going to make it sound in the future. Because I see the panic when price drops on my Twitter thread. Like, I see it every time, and I don't respond that way. I'm emotionally bulletproof to all this. And the other aspect is to, even if I'm wrong, like, I've only put in what I'm willing to lose. And again, I don't think I'm wrong, but if I am, okay, then I lose it. That would suck. I admit that would suck. But that would suck a fat one. But I don't think that's going to happen, to be perfectly honest with you. So it's cool stuff here. Look at this. And again, crypto's not going away. There's no way the internet was going to go away. This is going to be, I would say, and I do believe this, I don't know how long it's all going to take to get to the point where like you're at, from an evolutionary perspective, where we are at with the internet. And think about it. You got a computer in your pocket. Everybody's got a damn smartphone, right? You got a freaking computer in your pocket. To get to the point, whatever the equivalent of that will be with crypto, I would believe that it would be a decades-long thing. It doesn't mean that there wouldn't be tremendous price action in the short term. Of course, there's so much speculation. I fully anticipate there's going to be all sorts of continued speculation and parabolic rallies, this and that. But in order to get to that type of level, I fully anticipate it's going to be a decades-long thing. And as for how long it's going to take for a crypto to be used in place of fiat currency, if that ever happens, and I suspect it will to some degree, you're going to have to go to areas where there's actually friction, because today, for most people, it's just not solving a problem. But, for that to happen, what if it takes 50 years? I don't know. I have no idea how long it's going to take, but it is a legitimate use case. It actually is. Because the monetary policy of a cryptocurrency that's decentralized, like even Bitcoin, the monetary policy, I know it technologically doesn't work as money right now, but the policy behind it is superior to that of the United States dollar. And that I do believe. And it would be the same for XRP, which is sufficiently decentralized. Absolutely. For instance, Ripple has no special permissions over the XRP ledger. So it's just fun to think about. So I could not be more bullish and more thankful for having come across this and done sufficient research. And here we are now. Tell me what you think below. I'd love to hear from you on this topic, my fellow 1%ers. But that is it for this video. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.